Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video is brought to you by a donation from Josh, and here's what he has to say. Hi Sandman, I was in a relationship off and on throughout high school and shortly thereafter with my then future ex-wife. She graduated from high school and joined the military. I hurt my ankle in a football camp that summer going into my senior year of high school. I could hardly compete in either football or track and field. I lost my scholarship offers, and since then my family is not very well to do. We couldn't afford to pay for my schooling. I wanted to go to school to become a lawyer. I was a typical beta male and wrote her every day while she was in boot camp. I saved and borrowed what I needed to make a flight down to Texas to see her graduate. She was very happy to see me and we had a great time. Not even a week after I leave and she starts additional training. She cheats on me and then breaks up. After a few weeks apart, she asked me to take her back and said that we should move to Denver, Colorado, where she was actually going to be stationed. Then the first week she was down there, she was already cheating on me. I packed and left like a fool. I nursed a broken heart and it plagued me for a year. I tried to fill the void with pump and dumps, but it was just numb. We reconnected when she visited from Denver over the holidays. Me being a complete fool decided to move to Colorado on her behest. We moved in together because she wanted to complete her training so she could get out of the military with benefits for college. Our time was actually good, but I wasn't happy. She rarely cared for my affections. She felt like I wasn't a man because I didn't have a real job. I worked full-time with lots of overtime, but my pay didn't compare to her high-paying with benefits active military job. I gave her almost all of my money to help pay for the bills, but that wasn't giving her the lifestyle that she wanted. She told me to get another job and didn't care if she actually saw me. She rarely showed any affection unless she was drunk. She didn't like that I enjoyed being out with my friends and worked out regularly. I did all the housework to make up for what I thought was a lack of providing for her. She had me trained and I didn't even know it. Sex was like laying with a dead fish. She just didn't take care of me. It was obvious from her cold attitude whenever we were done. She just never treated me like a partner. I tried so hard in every single way, but nothing mattered to her and I couldn't see it. I thought of leaving her many times but felt like a failure if I did. I let fear keep me trapped and unhappy. It got to the point that as long as she was actually happy, then I was happy, even though I was unhappy inside. At least I felt like I was doing what was expected of me. She eventually finished her job with the military and we moved back to Montana to go to college together. I worked 2 full-time jobs and took 5 classes each semester. I kept my grades up and also paid the bills. She kept being increasingly upset about all her friends being further along in life with their careers, marriages, families, and goals. I would point out that we were actually going to school and working on reaching our goals as well. It kept me thinking that it had been at least 6 years that she hadn't cheated on me, for all I truly knew. So I proposed to her thinking that it was long enough and about time. We got married about a year and a half later. Unfortunately, she got orders to go to Texas for more training since she joined the National Guard. She had to leave the day after our honeymoon. Then 2 weeks before she was to return, she admitted to me that she'd been having an affair with another married man also stationed there. My whole heart fell from right under me. I was utterly crushed and knew what I'd actually had to do. After gathering myself together, I called the base that she was stationed at and told them that she was sleeping with a higher-up superior. I knew that if I said it was just another classmate of hers that she would have gone unpunished. So of course the big investigation was held, and once it was thoroughly investigated, it couldn't go unpunished. In the meantime, I knew that I was going to leave her and that I wasn't going to give her any chances to take anything else away from me. If she wanted to turn her back on everything that we built, then I was going to make sure she had nothing left to come back to. I canceled my spring semester just in the nick of time, and took everything back with me. I divorced her weeks later and kept everything in the divorce. She was rightly ashamed and didn't want to actually fight for things so far out of reach. I tried healing up, but she wouldn't leave me. I wouldn't have anything to do with her even though I still somewhat wanted to. Then when I wanted to move to finish my degree in human health and personal training, I get an offer from a place where a best friend of mine, and he's already in school and soon to be looking for a new place. He was hesitant and I didn't understand until my ex-wife showed up in town at my work with my dad. She had come in person with someone I deeply respected, so I heard them out about giving her another chance. Since I wouldn't answer her calls, it had come to this. I met her after work and she tells me that she had actually come clean about sleeping around with my best friend. Just when I think it couldn't get worse, she found a way for me to suffer all over again, so I cut them both off. I tried and failed at many relationships since then. I feel dead inside towards girls most of the time when it comes to true love. I can care for them and be a friend, but I'm still damaged. I decided to focus on myself and what makes me happy. I always blew my time and money on someone else's desires and dreams. I let someone else hold the pen and write my story for far too long. I have focused on friends, family, work, and my hobbies that make me happy. I have been finding satisfaction in jobs well done and reaching my personal goals. I decided to stop chasing women. Then I found your channel as well as MGTOW. It gave me a new name to my new lifestyle and opened my eyes to enlighten me with regards to the concepts that never occurred to me. Since then, I've devoured your content on a daily basis. Bearing is also another good mate that does a great job as well. I use his amazing videos to help open the eyes of my brothers and closest friends. Thank you for listening and helping touch and change the lives of so many people. Well, Josh, thanks for your donation and crazy story. I hope you don't mind that I edit it down a bit. It's crazy the amount of emotional and financial abuse a man is willing to take from a woman before he finally says no to her. In your case, I would say that your ex bonded with you and she couldn't do any better. By that I mean that she couldn't end up with a better guy in the long run. She figured out what many women have also figured out, which is alpha fucks and beta bucks. In your case, she was milking all your money while milking other guys sexually on the side. Because she was in her 20s and wanted to ride the cock carousel, but she also wanted the status of a normal so-called life. She wanted the old American dream of a husband and I assume eventually a family, while also having the new American dream for women, which is gobbling down cocks like a fat turkey. As I suspected, her social status and keeping up with friends is probably how she measured success. Success relative to others. She couldn't see the grand plan in getting an education and planning for the future, even when you tried to reassure her. She resented you probably because society and other women around her were telling you that you were no good as a provider, but the alcohol revealed that she actually was bonded to you, and you felt right to her regardless of what the world was telling her. You were like that ugly old sweat-stained bra that a woman never gives up. She's never going to wear it in public because she's embarrassed about what people think. But it's just oh so comfortable. The wire in the bra is poking out, and would actually put someone's eye out, but she still ends up keeping it. As Bette Midler always sings, you are the wind beneath her wings. The wings attached to her menstrual pads. You're not always the cock she lands on, but you're certainly helping her fly emotionally, financially, and you also gave her the structure she needed in her life. Of course her dad showed up and tried to offload her onto you once again. He's already most likely a tampon husband to his wife, so why wouldn't he actually be a tampon to his own daughter as well? He's like a great big flying human tampon shot out of a cannon. But seriously, this woman was your first adult love and you were the closest thing that you would experience to true love. So that's why she's like a boomerang. You throw her away and she keeps running back to you while simultaneously running into another man's arms. I found myself getting upset when she actually told you to get another job so that you could provide for her, and no doubt, her shoe habits. She also probably didn't like you working out because that made you potentially desirable to other women, and she had basically claimed you as her property by then. She was sure that you were never going to leave her. She could cheat on you and you would take her back, no sweat. Disobeying her made you a little bit of a bad boy because you won't actually do what she wanted. But in other departments like housekeeping, you failed the shit test by working around the house. She saw you as a long-term strategy while she messed around your back and in short-term. She probably slept with those other men trying to get them to commit. But they didn't, and you could actually feel that because, as you said, the sex was robotic. But here's a newsflash. Most sex with women in long-term relationships, and even in short-term partners these days, is like sleeping with a dead fish. In some cases, an actual dead fish might even smell better. This woman never treated you like a partner because men and women are not meant to be partners in the first place. The man is supposed to be the CEO, and the woman is supposed to be a subordinate. They feel entitled to you and your labor and your effort. If this were the past when women didn't work, you would have earned the money and she would have been a lot happier without any power. Making a woman happy to make yourself happy is a losing proposition because women can never truly be happy. I learned that after going my own way. There's no point in making them happy because their mind is like a goldfish. It's happy for a few seconds and then forgets that it was ever happy. They live in the moment, so unless you can keep them happy and entertain in new ways every minute of every day, then you will fail. The more educated women get and the more money they make, the more they experience the so-called good life and the less happiness that they end up feeling. The happiest women I tend to meet are poor and stupid. When I took one on a day trip through the countryside to a French fry snack shack, she was actually so excited because she'd never seen a place like that, and she was like in her own private candy shop. But if I took my ex-girlfriend on an expensive anniversary trip, she wouldn't be happy or impressed. The happiest moment she had on one trip was visiting some place called the Vertimart where Brangelina were spotted only a week before. All that culture, art, and music in New Orleans, and she's happiest about visiting a convenience store. That kind of reminded me of the time when my second cousin visited last year, and I took him to New York City. The guy was 20 years old and was completely unimpressed. But when I took him to Walmart and bought him some Oreo cookies, he was overjoyed. He was raised by a single mother, so I blame her for that behavior. Josh, you said something interesting that you would actually feel like a failure if you left the relationship. That's probably one of the reasons that men hang around in relationships long after their best before dates. I did the same thing for somewhere between 5 to 10 years, so don't beat yourself up for it. I also did the majority of the housework, and when I finally asked why she never helped, she said she felt entitled. She could have lied and said because she was lazy or selfish, but by saying entitled, it was basically a good way for her to say that I was nothing more than an entitlement program. She dehumanized me. Women don't look at us as human. They look at us as slave labor. Fear is also another reason we stay, because we're afraid that we'll never actually find another woman as good as her again. And you know what? I never found a woman as good as my ex of 10 years. They were all far worse, but would I go back to her? No friggin' way, Jose. Also, you feel dead when it comes to true love, because relationships shouldn't be based on love, but a marriage contract. In the past, if a woman messed up and cheated, the guy ended up keeping the money, the family, the house, everything. The women back then couldn't provide for themselves by joining the military and sucking some general's privates. So she behaves herself, or she becomes a prostitute or penniless on the streets. Yet it's mostly men today that are homeless hobos. I'm glad you're actually focusing on what makes you happy, because there's nothing more that you can do unless the system returns to some sort of normal traditionalism, and that's not going to happen in what remains of our dating and marrying lifetimes. Hopefully you found some of my words uplifting. That's all I've got to say for today. Thanks again, Josh, for your donation as well as your topic. Don't forget to smash the like button and check out the MGTOW mystery link. As for everyone else out there, please follow me on Twitter or like me on Facebook to get tomorrow's video today. Thanks for taking your daily dose of red pills. And remember, a red pill a day keeps the flying human tampon father-in-laws away. So enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.